make a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Nick Atkin on South China Morning Post. This is the SCMP MMA post-fight podcast, and as usual, I'm joined by Chris Chris Edwards-Bailey. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. Just ready to talk about MMA, ready to get it going. We're nearly halfway through the week, and we've got big cards, big happenings, big news to all talk about.
Yep, of course, huge UFC fight this weekend. Khabib Gaethje on Fight Island, UFC 254. But right now, we're just going to talk a little bit about some One Championship news because there was a bit of news last night. I thought it's worth covering, isn't it? Seo Hee, former Rizin champ, she vacated her belt last week. Everyone was wondering where she was going. I knew where she was going, but I wasn't allowed to report it because of some legal issues I think she was having with Rizin. But Rizin went and confirmed it last night at their press conference announcing their card for later this month, that Ham is off to One Championship. And obviously, she's going to be in that atomweight Grand Prix, I think we can safely assume, can't we, Chris?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, in all honesty, let's all be honest. As much as we love Andrea Lee, as much as we love all the atomweights all around the world and different organizations, Hamdallah Silva has done it at every level. And she is arguably the female atomweight GOAT. And I think it in quite a big margin, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because Angela Lee is pregnant, but she's not vacating the belt. She's promised to meet the winner of the atomweight Grand Prix, which starts early 2021 from what we've been told. This is a huge signing for one. It's a legit signing. She is probably, if not the best, like one of the best in that division worldwide. This is, if the theories are out there that, Angela Lee is Chatri's golden girl, he doesn't want to get the belt off her, why would you sign Ham? Because she is now, for me, the favorite to win this tournament. It was Denise Sambawango, and now I'm picking Ham because Ham is legit. She's a real signing, and that's a huge statement of intent for one, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, there is an argument to say Hamdallah is One Championship's biggest ever female signing. And I think in terms of signings from other organizations, based on what they've done before, I think there's probably only Eddie Alvarez and Demetrius Johnson. I'm actually going to put Hamdallah and everything she's done above Vitor. And Vitor is a former UFC champion. And that is in such high regard that I hold Hamdallah Silva.
Wow. It's just this, it's not been confirmed. Chatri, or, he's usually the one who announces signings on his Facebook. He likes to do that. I haven't heard anything from him yet. Maybe he's waiting. There might be some legal issues still, because I think there is something going on with Road FC, the South Korean promotion who had Ham before she went to Rizin. Do you think there's still an issue there? Do they still have part of Ham's contract? I have no idea what's going on with this.
Yeah, it's really hard to know because it's a really odd contract situation, because from what I can gather, my Korean is not so good, my Japanese is okay, so I've tried to mix it up. From what it seems like, it looks like her Rizin contract was actually through Road. So, I mean, if I was going to put it in another terms, in a football term, it seemed like it was a loan deal between Road to Rizin, and then she vacated the Rizin belt, and then Road let her go on to sign for One Championship. I do not know if money's changed hands. I don't know what the exact details are in the murky world that sometimes can be Asian MMA, but it's absolutely fantastic to see her over there. And just to any of the haters out there who watched their UFC career where she went 1-3, people have to remember, she is an atomweight. She's 23-8, but 7 of her losses came a weight class above. She only has 1 loss in her actual natural weight class, which does just show you the quality of atomweights worldwide. I mean, even for the UFC fans out there, the most stacked division in women's MMA in the UFC is the strawweight division, and they don't even have a division below it, which, if you think about it, is totally ridiculous.
What do you think then? If Road still has a stake, we shall say in Ham, is she just going to be in the Grand Prix? Is she sticking around? If she wins it, Angela Lee has promised to meet the winner. Do you think Ham is there to stay in one? Or what if Road has something to do with her still? Is that complicated? I don't know. So
there is a possibility, but Road has one of those affiliate deals that one championship has with many other organizations. So we might see if she does win the Grand Prix or wins the belt, we might see fights in Korea. It's similar, I believe they did it at One Championship Century, because One Championship has really good relations with Shuto and Pancrase, and they had 4 Shuto versus Pancrase champion v champions on the undercard to get the Japanese fans going. So you might actually see something very, very similar, where One Championship put on a show in Korea. We get a few road fighters fight some One Championship fighters, or Shuto or Pancrase, or maybe even Kunlun from China. But I think we'll see something like that. I think Road wouldn't just let her go without something in return. And that might be a show in Korea, a joint promotion. And we'll just have to wait and see and find out. But to everyone out there who's a fan, not just of MMA, but also women's MMA, this is fantastic. I think she's probably the biggest name you could add to the Grand Prix. I think like her, Stamp, Denise. The thing is, they bring so much eyes on them because Denise is representing the Philippines, Stamp is representing Thailand, and Hamdalay is representing Korea. And that's what I love about it. I'm absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, there is now a nice worldwide vibe to it, isn't there? Real mix. You have got others in there like Jihin, the Shadow Cat, Rizin from Malaysia, Itsuki Hirata, Japan as well. You may have mentioned, sorry. Mengbo, China. Yeah,
Lin Hechin, Mei Yamaguchi. I mean, this could be a Grand Prix to go down at the ages. And particularly, I mean, considering the great Grand Prix we've had recently, particularly the flyweight one, that was fantastic. This is so different because, in no offense to that flyweight Grand Prix, but that had so many people who were fairly big stars in one, and Demetrius Johnson. This one will literally have 3 or 4 global superstars, and everyone else is a superstar in one. And that's what we want. We want to see the best fight the best. We want it exciting. I mean, One Championship's atomweight division is the best in the world.
Yeah, here is a picture of Ham. I just had to sneak it in from the Asia MMA Awards 2018, which we had here in Hong Kong at PMQ in Central in Soho. I think this picture was via the lovely David Ash, Singapore Maven. Gave it to us, courtesy for free. Thanks, David. She won Female Fighter of the Year, obviously, as that picture shows you. She beat Angela Lee to that title, which says it all about the quality that, she's stepping in. Angela was probably the biggest star recognizably worldwide in terms of Asian female fighters then. But Ham took the award. There was a panel judging that, and they liked what they saw from her. She was back in road after an unsuccessful stint in UFC. I mean, what went wrong there, Chris? I mean, you alluded to earlier, she was kind of fighting up a weight, really, wasn't she, in terms of,
She was fighting up a weight, but then you can even argue upon that. I mean, if there was even a 100-pound or a 95-pound division, she could actually probably cut down to that. So she was arguably up not just one weight class, maybe a weight class and a half or 2 weight classes. I mean, look, maybe not everyone out there realizes she won the SmackGirl Championship, which at the time was phenomenal. But then Deep and Jules are 2 of the best women's divisions out there. And then to win the belts in both those divisions on top of Road, and then to do it on Rizin, which, I mean, is the biggest or the second biggest in Asia. It's them and one or the 2 ones that get international recognition. She's done it on almost every level. And that's, go back to my original point, 23-8, but 7 of those losses are outside of her weight class. So throw them aside, at atom weight, she's like 20-1. I don't know what else you can ask for from the girl.
I'm just trying to find some tweets on this. The one that announced it from Rizin, they seem to allude in that tweet that Rizin simply couldn't match the money one was offering. What do you think of that? Is it? I mean, she must be getting a lot of money there, because when you're giving up such a prestigious title as that super atomweight belt in Rizin, there must be some reward, some incentive, right?
There's got to be so much reward and so much money, because this is the thing is, I've been to Rizin New Year's shows. Some Rizin New Year's shows, it's not uncommon for them to do over 40 million on Japanese television. And I mean, if you've got a sponsor paying you, you can get a lot of money out of that sponsor. So One Championship must be paying her good money. And I mean, if you do look at some of the names that people are talking about in this Grand Prix, my mouth is watering right now.
Yeah, here's a tweet from Mr. Whitelaw, who you may know from our channel. Andrew Whitelaw contributes some articles and videos here. He's suggesting this might be the lineup. But I think, as Leon points out below from Asian Persuasion MMA, Gina In-Yong is pregnant, so probably not going to be in this. So Itsuki Hirata, maybe you add her into that lineup there. That's great, isn't it? Oh, I can't wait to see this.
I'll tell you one thing. I am so excited to just see the bracket and see the draw because it's one of those. The talent is so high. We've got such a great mix of different styles, and as everyone says, styles make fights. And I cannot even touch on anyone who I can say is a favorite. Probably right now it's Ham or Zambonga, and I would love for them to be on opposite sides of the bracket so we have a chance of those two in the final. Because probably talking about record and everything they've done in MMA, so far they are probably the two that deserve it.
Leon is suggesting we could have 16 women in this. I think that's maybe a little too far. And if Angela is going to meet the winner in late 2021, I don't think you can have 4 fights each in this tournament.
The problem is
Angela.
16 fighters in a Grand Prix. It's very unlikely you're going to get 8 to go through to the next round because there's going to be injuries, there's going to be delays. You don't know what damage is going to be done. For me, a Grand Prix should always be 8 people. 4 people is too small. 16 people is too big. The top 8, let them battle it out. And in that meantime, through the Grand Prix, we'll learn more about the fighters, we'll learn their stories, and we'll actually see, the cream will rise to the top, and we'll find out who is the best atomweight in the world. Not in one championship. This is for the best atomweight in the world.
What about Ritu? As Leon mentioned, we were just talking about this earlier, I think, before we started. Would you put Ritu in there? Is it too early? I'm leaning towards too early. I think they know Ritu, they need an Indian star. Yeah.
And Victoria Lee. I both think it's too early for the both of them. Maybe Victoria Lee would have a bit more of a chance because she's probably more well-rounded. But I think Ritu still needs more experience to build on her wrestling base. And we'd like to see her build, and I'd actually like to see her fight someone who's maybe top 10 in one at the end of the Grand Prix, so then she can start mopping up the losers from the Grand Prix themselves.
Yeah, and what about Stamp? Because she has been built up a little bit and she's going to focus on MMA, but I don't see how Stamp wins this. If you put her against Denise, you put her against Ham, if you put her against Mei Yamaguchi, as you were saying to me, she's going to get out-wrestled.
Even I think Meng Bo has enough in that tank, enough variety. I mean, look, on the feet, anyone can lose to Stamp. Stamp's probably the best on her feet. Maybe Hamdalay can take her on in a kickboxing fight. She has a great kickboxing record. But when you really look at it, I mean, if you're fighting Stamp, you've really got to look to take her down and pull her outside of her comfort zone. We've seen people try to do it before and it's not really worked. But, you know, she has lost in her home sport of Muay Thai, and she did recently also lose in kickboxing. So there are chinks in that armor, and maybe someone out there can really go and prey on her vulnerabilities at the moment.
I'm leaning towards Ham, obviously. I would love to see a Ham Denise final. I think that's, as you said, if they're on opposite side of the bracket, I think that's where it's going to end. But yeah, let's just wait for those brackets, man. It's that feeling of excitement, isn't it? When you get the World Cup bracket and the draw, and you start planning who's going to be.
Are they going to use because for the previous Grand Prix, they never had rankings. So they're going to use their rankings as seeds, or is it just going to be a blind open draw? Are the matchmakers going to do the draw, or is it going to be like out of a tombola? And those 3 situations can change everything. Because, I mean, Stamp is the lowest purse in the rankings, so it really depends who she could get.
Okay, yeah, well, that's about that for Ham. Not much else on championship news, I think. We're just waiting for the announcement of that Grand Prix. Obviously, Inside the Matrix is next Friday, the big show with 4 title fights. I cannot wait. Yeah, we'll be doing a big preview next week, I think. Otherwise, you should check out the... I don't want to toot my own horn, but I had a fun face-off with Ongla and Rainier de Ridder on our YouTube channel. This is easily the biggest one event since Century a year ago. It's just that Ongla factor for me is he brings so much excitement. This is the model I think one is trying to replicate with other countries is go to countries where they don't have someone in a sport like MMA and make someone the national hero. The way Ongla is, the guy is mobbed every time he goes there. I've never seen anyone in MMA who has, outside of like your Connors, your Khabibs, who has that kind of crazy dedicated fan base of people who are just diehard fans. They live to see every fight he's in. You have popular fighters, don't you? But in terms of this guy is Burmese MMA, isn't he, Ongla? And if anyone didn't realize, it's John posted a thing on Twitter of someone who had a tattoo on their face, I think, of Ongla. It's impossible to fathom. I hope people are going to realize.
I mean,
how
if you
popular
actually,
this guy is.
just to put it into context, I honestly mean, if you look at Facebook likes and people who follow him on social media, Ongla has a higher percentage of Burmese people following him on social media than Cristiano Ronaldo has Portuguese people. So anyone who's out there as a football fan, think of that statistic. Think how big Cristiano Ronaldo must be in Portugal, and you really get an idea of how big a star Ongla is. I mean, and as well, he can kill you, break your neck, choke you out, do all sorts of damage to you, but one of the nicest people out there in the game. Wouldn't even step on a flag.
Just look at all these comments. It's so funny. Every time I forget how popular this guy is. Just how many comments? They're all like, go Ongla, we love you. It's great to see. And thank you all of you who have subscribed. We'll obviously do more Ongla content. We're going to have some preview interviews with Ongla. We'll have the press conference afterwards. I think they're doing a press conference. They are working out the details of that. But yeah, other than that, when do you expect one to be back in action, Chris? Other than some of the other cards they've got planned in the works for over the next month, maybe December, one more?
I think we'll actually see a November card and a December card because it's that time of the year. And with everything that's happened this year, I think they just need to make themselves relevant again, push their brand forward. I mean, this card is a great opportunity for champions. We've got a Moldovan, a Dutch, an American, Vietnamese, an Australian Vietnamese. We've got a Singaporean. We've got someone from China. I don't know where you say Christian Lee is from because he seems to have grown up everywhere. We've got Ongla, Burmese Python. Lower down, we've got Ritu Phogat from India. We've got Folly Yang from Philippines. So it literally is becoming more global. We could see all 4 belts change hands. None of the belts change hands. And I know either way, it's going to be an absolutely great card. And just more power to them. I just want to see more One Championship. I want to see more championship fights. I want to see more belts. And I just actually want to see them globalize more and start to bring in more and more talent. And particularly when you look at the card, we've got Tiffany Teo fighting for the belt who's got 1 loss. We've got Tan Lee, who's got 2 losses. Laurie Lapicius has never lost, and neither is Raina Derrida. So we are getting cream of the cream from all over the world now coming to fight in the organization that is One Championship. And it's what dreams are made of. And, we've been following One Championship for a while, and this is what they've been building to, really. They've been building to this internationalization, more eyes on them, going global. And it can only be good for the sport worldwide and particularly good for the sport in Asia.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that card. It should be good. I hope they've just got a bit more in store because they've had a couple of drop-offs. The last time they put on big shows, those 2 Tokyo shows, I felt they didn't have much in store for the next event after that one. And then there was a noticeable drop-off in terms of quality and star power in the next card or 2. I hope they've got some good ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, my only criticism of that would be, I think that's what they've done a lot since the Century show. I think they added 3 more kickboxing titles and another Muay Thai title. So they've got a lot more titles to spread out through the year. So hopefully, I wouldn't be surprised after the Inside the Matrix show in Singapore. I wouldn't be surprised if we got maybe a show with maybe 1 or 2 Muay Thai or kickboxing titles, because we have had some movements in the rankings lately, particularly in the Muay Thai or kickboxing, since they were based in Thailand for a period of time. So with that, and I mean, hopefully we can get the show back on the road. And if there's one thing, if you're out there watching Your Royal Highness Chatri Sichidong, can we get the rankings for the rest of the divisions? Please, can we do it? Because we all just want to know the picture. Because, yeah, I love the small guys. I like the fact we've got the rankings up to lightweight. But let's be fair, there's some killers, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight. I mean, obviously the Anglar's fighting, but I want to see a bit more love for the guys up there. And with all these big signings in the heavyweight division, maybe we can have the women's atomweight, the smallest weight class in the women's, having a Grand Prix, while at the same time we have a Grand Prix in the men's heavyweight for the big guys at the other end. And I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of a heavyweight Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I think Ali Abdelaziz is too. He said he spoke to Chatri about that. I would love to see that. Yeah, middleweight and light heavyweight. I'm not sure there are enough people in the divisions to realistically do rankings. I think heavyweight they could now, on paper, flesh out a top 5. But some of those people have not fought in one yet, so maybe they want them each to have a fight first.
I mean, welterweight doesn't have any rankings, but welterweight 100% has so much quality, actually. And particularly, I mean, some of the people out there, I'm not going to mention the names, but some of the big management companies, they have been bringing over a lot of good welterweight talent and some heavier talent from the Balkans, from the Caucasus, from the Dagestans, Chechnyas, Russia, Central Asia. And it would just be great to see it all kick off.
Yes, in terms of those title fights you mentioned, I know I always love to see I'm going to turn on the lamp because the sun is going down in Hong Kong. I love to see those fights, but I want to see like the flyweight title get defended. I want to see the bantamweight. I want to see the heavyweight title get defended on the MMA side. You know, I want to update on when these are going to.
And strawweight as well. Joshua Pasha hasn't fought in a hot second. Bibiano has not fought in a hot second. Even Adriano Moraes has not been super active. So the more activity and the more we can see from all the fighters. I mean, look, we just need to get these divisions moving. And once we get them moving, I honestly think there's no stopping this promotion. It's height to height.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I'm sure they have a plan. Yeah. I've said it a few times, a little wary of them putting on 4 title fights. You don't need to put 4 for me to tune in. 2 would be, I'd still say this card is stacked with 2 title fights if you took 2 of them off and put them on next week or whatever, next month.
Yeah. I mean, look, it could go the way of one championship, a new era, which was a fantastic card where we had 2 champions retain and 2 champions lose their belts. But it could also go the way as one championship century, where I think every champion on that card defended their belt. I know of the 4 MMA belts, all 4 defended their title. So hopefully we see a little bit of movement, but it's really hard for me to call because all the fighters I absolutely adore.
Yeah, we'll get into it more in the preview, I guess. I'm going for a clean sweep of retains, and steals.
Yeah, if I was going to go, I like all 4 champions. I like all 4 challenges. I just don't think it's going to go 4-0. I think that's a little bit too easy to predict. If I was going to say something, I think it's going to go 3-1.
Well, who's the one?
You know what? I'm going to have so much hate after this. I don't see anyone beating the Panda, for sure. I don't see Tiffany Taylor being able to do it. I think Tanley has a great chance against Martin, but I think Martin's going to do it. Rene de Ridder, he's so hard to judge because while he's done everything right in the ring, he hasn't fought the quality of Anglar. The one that really does, and obviously he's got losses on his record, it would be Christian Lee. I think Christian Lee probably, out of the 4 of them, has the toughest task.
I learned a long time ago, Well, a year ago. Not to write off Christian Lee. I kept
Yeah.
doing it, and he kept proving me wrong.
You never
So,
know. He could do another suplex.
yeah. Well, maybe we can find out if those are still banned.
Yeah.
The rules over here. Oh, okay. Any other news? I can't think of anything off the top of my head in one. It's been a bit of a slow week. It'll obviously all build up again next week, won't it?
Yeah, and I honestly think I think when we get to that big event next week inside the Matrix, I think it would make so much sense for One Championship to drop the next 2-3 shows schedule and the matchups, because when it's the biggest show of the year, at least let us know what we've got to look forward to towards the end of the year. It totally makes sense, and honestly, guys, I think we're going to hear some big fights announced that night. I think we're going to see some kickboxing championships, some MMA championships. Might get some details on a Grand Prix. Might get some details on new signings. And obviously, we have all these other big fighters, Gary Tonian, Shinya Aoki's, people all over the board, Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson. And I think we'll find out some details about all of them.
So I hear Gary's just messing with everyone, and he doesn't actually have a fight signed up.
I have no idea, but knowing everything I've seen in Gary Tonin, everything I've heard from Gary Tonin, I mean, he does like to mess with people. That is his character.
Yeah. Well, I've heard some other good fights in the pipeline. Can't really reveal them, but definitely are some big fights going to be announced soon. Yeah, I think check back. I spoke to Tan Lee yesterday. Haven't got around to uploading that one yet because I'm trying to take a couple of days off as I'm legally obliged in my contract. But there's so much work at the moment. It's tough to get a day off. Even doing a podcast, I guess, is working. But it's not, because it's so fun to talk to Chris, as usual.
And I love to talk to Nick. There's nothing better than to come on here and talk about MMA.
Yes. Well, yeah, we're going to have previews with everyone on this card, I think. Pretty much everyone. We're going to have Edward Flyang. Tom Taylor's talking to him. I'm going to hopefully get Christian Lee on a video. He's already spoken to Matt Scott, my freelancer. There'll be a couple of articles coming your way. We are hopefully going to try and get Ritu. I'm still checking in. Got Antonio Caruso. We were meant to do it this morning, but his video element of the phone wasn't working, so we're rescheduling. He's the one who's fighting Edward Flying. I think that about covers it. Yuri Lapicus is coming as well.
Is Anglo not gonna reach out to Martin? Are we not getting Martin on?
I had Martin a few weeks ago when he was, with
but let's get Martin more time, man. He's so bubbly, so bubbly.
I think Martin, he doesn't like doing the interviews so much. He prefers to just keep his head down, train, go do his talking in the ring cage, and then he's fine to talk afterwards. I'm sure I'll grab him after the fight. I
don't know if you're watching, Martin, but you know what? I know sometimes you're a bit shy, but when you open up, actually, I think you have a dead bubbly personality. I mean, I'm not the one to tell you, Martin, but if you're out there watching this, do a bit of media training, because you would be a top commentator. You'd be a great color commentary. And I just think he has loads of energy, actually, when he gets into it. Especially when Onglar's around, they kind of bounce off each other.
That's true, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got you covered on SCMP MMA. Smash a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. Chris is pointing up to that logo. I think if you hover over that, or maybe it's the one down there, I'm not sure. You can figure it out if you've got a computer or a phone. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate you watching. We're going to bring you all the news from One Championship. We'll have you back covered for Inside the Matrix next Friday, October 30th. Bring you previews. We're going to bring you live fight companion. We're going to bring you all the reaction, post-fight press conference, whatever they do with that. We will bring you a breakdown, a recap. We'll assess everything. Please keep it to SCMP MMA, everything One Championship. We got it covered, haven't we, Chris?
We got it covered. I mean, look, right now, One Championship, it's just going from strength to strength. We've got all the UFC stuff. We do a bit of PFL, Bellator. Check us out. We're going to try and give you the best content we can. And we don't really do it for ourselves. We just do it for the fun and for the fans.
For the fans, for the Burmese fans all of you who've subscribed in the last couple of days for that Ongla. Hopefully you enjoyed this video if you watched it. And there'll be plenty more Ongla content, I can promise you that. Anyway, thank you, Chris, as usual. Check Chris out on @ChrisEB_MMA on Twitter. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
He's got a criminally low follower count. He needs to get more. I'm going to make this my personal mission to get Chris more followers.
I want to get to 100 by January 1st. So come on, guys, let's get to 100.
We'll get him up there. All right. Yeah. Otherwise, you check us out on SCMP MMA on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and obviously YouTube. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. We see you again next time.